practice. And I know that kneeling doesn't always feel great on your body, so we have some options. You could roll up your mat so that you're kneeling on like 2 layers of your mat. So like this. You could fold it up and then kneel on top, or multiple layers. I use 2 mats just to make it thick. You don't have to do that, but it's just extra soft and cushiony on my feet. You could also put a blanket down. I put a pillow. So I have this big pillow, and I'm going to put my knees on top of it. So I'm going to move it to make some space. And then the other props you might want are some yoga blocks. They're optional, but you might want them. You might also want a chair at some point. So I'm going to come down onto my knees. My knees are directly on this pillow. We'll take a breath here. We'll bring our hands down to our sides. If this is not good for your knees, you can stand up. You don't have to be on your knees for this. This is hero's pose. You could stand in mountain pose where you're firmly distributing your weight against both feet. And then we can bring one leg into a low lunge. So we're going to take one leg. I'm going to take my left leg. I'm going to bring it out in front. So I have 1 foot behind, 1 foot in front. And we can lean forward. I like to bring my belly in towards the leg, or to the inside of the leg. Then we have this option, if you want, if you don't want to be kneeling, you do the same thing with your foot up on the chair. We're going to lean into our low lunge, whether we're using the chair or we're on the ground. We're going to lean into it and then come out. So back and forth. Noticing how this feels in your hip. And then maybe you want to alternate coming onto the heel of your foot. So we'll show it standing and then I'll show it on the ground. So maybe you lean forward, and then when you come back, you want to bring the heel of your foot to the seat of the chair, toes up, and your legs a little bit straight. Seeing how this feels. So this is a half split. Leaning into it, and then half split. Leaning into it, and half split. On the ground, it looks similar, but I like to bring in blocks. So if you have blocks, you're welcome to use them. You don't have to use them. But as I lean forward, I like to hold my blocks. And again, I like to bring my belly to the inside of my leg, leaning forward, and then maybe you want to explore bringing your butt back towards the ground, heel towards the sky. No, heel towards the mat, toes towards the sky. And you can bring these blocks with you. So we can alternate going forward and going back. Doing these alternating half splits and low lunges. Breathing here, doing a few. Noticing where you feel sensation in each one. And then we'll pause in your next low lunge or your next lunge on the chair. And we'll bring our hands. Right now I have one hand on either side of my foot. We can bring our hands to the inside of your front leg. Maybe you want to move your foot over to the edge of your yoga mat. If you ever hear me say heel toe, that means how I'm moving my foot with my heel and my toe to the edge of the yoga mat. What we're doing here is we're creating more distance between our legs. For you using blocks, you can bring them down towards the mat. Bring your hands down here. And an option to lower down onto your forearms. Another option you have is to come out onto the side of your foot. So this is my left foot. You can come on to the left outside edge of your foot and then bring your hands down. Or come onto your forearms. So we'll stay there, breathing there. I'm going to get up, show you how to do the same thing on the chair. We're in our low lunge. We're on the chair, bringing our belly to the inside. We can bring our hands to the back of the chair. So we're folding down, bring your hands to the back of the chair, or bring your hands to the seat of the chair. You can also think about bringing your foot to the outside edge of the chair and rolling out onto that side of the foot and breathing here. Thinking about how this feels. You can come out of lizard at any time and then come back in. It's an intense one. It's like something I hate but also love at the same time. It's that intense sensation, but good intense. And then maybe you want to bring that foot down if it's on its edge. You can slowly come back up if you're standing, or come back into your low lunge on the ground. We'll bring our feet back and we'll take a second. So maybe you're kneeling on the ground. Maybe you're standing up. And we'll do the same thing with the opposite leg. So we'll bring the opposite leg in front. So whether it's on the chair or you're in your low lunge on the ground, we're leaning into our leg. Breathing here. Noticing how this feels in the body. Maybe noticing if there's any differences on this side versus the other side. We'll come back to demonstrate it on the ground again. So bringing those legs down, low lunge, one leg in front, leaning in. And that option to use your blocks, leaning forward, and then coming back. And so now we have that alternate option to lean forward and then bring our heel down towards the mat, toes up towards the sky. And we can alternate. So going for that low lunge to that half sweat. And then if we're using the chair, same thing as before, just using that opposite leg, leaning in, and then coming onto your heel, and then leaning in and onto your heel. Breathing as we do this. Doing a couple more. And then we can plant our foot again for that low lunge. And we'll come into that lizard pose again. So bring your belly to the inside of the leg. If you're on the chair, bring your hands to the back of the chair. And then maybe down to the seat of the chair. And maybe rolling out onto the outside edge of your foot. And breathing here. If we're on the ground, we're doing that similar motion. Except we have both of our hands on the inside of our leg. We can have blocks, we can have no blocks. You can have a pillow here. We're coming onto the outside edge of that foot, an option to come onto your forearms. So when I'm on the ground, I come onto my forearms. When I'm on the chair, I definitely don't. I definitely don't have the mobility for that. And I also think it might be overstretching this part of your hip. Breathing. Taking another few breaths, and then we can slowly bring this foot around, coming back, and now we're in a figure four position or tabletop position. If you're standing up, you can bring your hands to the seat of the chair. And that will make you into a similar shape, but your legs will be straight because you're standing. From here, we can do some cat-cows, thinking about sticking our butt and our tailbone up, looking up, inhaling, filling the belly with air, and then exhale, rounding the back. Up and down, and alternating our cat-cows. And then maybe, if you're standing up, it'll look very similar. Thinking, inhaling, tailbone up, exhaling, tailbone rounded. rounding that back, arching the back. So anything you need to do in tabletop, you can do with your hands on the chair. And if having your hands flat on the chair doesn't feel good, you can also hold the sides of the chair, or you can put fists. We'll do a few more, and then we can shake it out. Slowly coming up. If you're standing, maybe coming to seated. If you're sitting down, we'll take a second, taking a few breaths together. Thank you so much for this kneeling practice. Hopefully your hips feel a little bit looser, and I hope we practice again together soon.